Hi everyone, peace, assalamu alaikum. My name is Amal, welcome to my channel. I actually do not know how to do this YouTube thing, but it is what it is. I'm just here sharing things that I've been learning, talking to myself basically, to let the message penetrate my ears and my heart and everything within me. And that happens when we can let it deliver itself to us and to everyone around us, even to our the environment we are in. So it's been a minute since I uploaded something in here, and it's really important to take your time with the knowledge you receive and the lessons you are learning and the wisdom that's been just, downloading inside of you. It's really important because this is not something you can take lightly, especially when it's about God, it's about divinity, and it's about aligning your path and walking this path in order to go back to Him. Because ultimately, this is the goal and this is the purpose of every spiritual seeker, of every mystic, of every believer. It's the goal to return back to Him. And it's our goal in here to be in union with Him. But the idea is to completely get rid of the idea of goal. You just surrender and drop every concept and drop every idea that try to make such a spontaneous and natural and divine thing into a strategic and a game kind of thing, because it's not a game. It doesn't require a strategy, doesn't require methods. What it requires is actually radical sincerity. The spiritual path is all about radical sincerity. So let's get into our main subject and our main thing that I would love to speak about and would love to bring more awareness into and shed a light into this thing that has been going on around lately, and and see the differences between this path and that path. So the difference between the path of self-knowledge versus the path of self-development. So there is a huge difference between self-knowledge and self-development. Self-development focuses on the mental and physical realm, and it works. It's not like that it doesn't work, but the thing is, this is how far you reach with your knowledge. You only can reach this physical realm, which is ultimately illusion. You can only reach the mental realm, which can be an affliction if it's not completely silenced, if it's full of strategies and methods and all the things that needs to be done in order to get what you want. Meanwhile, the path of self-knowledge works on the physical, mental, spiritual, and even the etherical realm. So you have a path that only reach a certain limit. It has some limits in it, even if it feels like it's doing the impossible in this physical realm. It still has a limit. It will make you bound to yourself. It will eventually make you self-obsessed wanting to become the best version of yourself, constantly chasing after an illusionary self that you create, constantly chasing after an illusionary image that you fantasize about all the time, constantly chasing after a dream and a goal you think you want, but in reality, what do you really want? Here, where we shift into the path of self-knowledge. So sometimes the path of self-development can actually lead us to the path of self-knowledge, especially when we are sensitive enough, feeling like still there is some kind of offness into all these methods that is trying to teach us how to become the best version of ourselves and how to create our dream life. There's something still off, something that isn't aligned with the truth. Here, where we shift into the path of self-knowledge, realizing that there is something deeper than that what we are chasing. There is something deeper than the improved image you try to attain. There is something deeper than that hottest version of yourself, or the most successful version of yourself, or whatever that is. There is something so much deeper than that. And when we are silent enough, calm enough, sincere enough, we can sit with ourselves long enough to know ourselves, to discover who we truly are, which is purity, sincerity, and absolutely divine. That's why the path of self-knowledge will always lead you to divinity. It will always lead you to God. That is the path of self-knowledge, because the formula that I have for the path of self-knowledge is, when the self fully recognizes itself, it no longer needs to be the self. So it willingly submits itself to that what goes beyond the self. Because when you sit with yourself enough, the self eventually will disappear. The self will eventually dissolve. The self eventually will fully recognize in itself. And the essence of that is complete emptiness. It's the no self, like, oh, I have fully seen myself. That's why it loses itself. I know it might sound like some type of a riddle, but there is a fullness that comes when you finally lose yourself and surrender yourself to that what goes beyond the self. That is what God is. When you finally let go of the concept, of the idea of the self, here where you know that there is almost like, oh, that kind of confirmation that divinity is there. He's there. He's within us. And as within, so without. And as above, so below. He's everywhere. Meanwhile, the path of self-development makes you bound into the self. When the self clings into the self, it fears to go beyond itself, so it becomes so obsessed with the self. This is the formula of self-development. Complete self-obsession. You know, if you've noticed like the things that is going on social media and everywhere, basically, how they try to like, oh, I'm gonna make you the best version of yourself by selling you all these things and all these strategies that will make you a beautiful feminine woman that knows her worth. Or I'm gonna sell you this course to make you an alpha cool man. These are things that only make you bound into the self. Haven't you looked at yourself? Just sit with yourself enough. Look at yourself. Look at yourself. Truly look at yourself. Bring your consciousness back to yourself. Don't let these people that trying to sell you things, that trying to manipulate you into following them, show you who you are. You can show yourself who you are. And that you, when you understand the true you, when you understand the true I, you understand who? You understand God. Because that is the path that leads you to God. Meanwhile, the path that clings into the self is so obsessed with the self, it gets triggered just by mentioning the name of God. I swear, most of these people that are so obsessed with whatever they are trying to convince you with, they get so triggered when someone mention divinity, when someone mention the unknown, the mystery. They want, you know, they watered it down into the universe, into nature, into Mother Earth, into all these things. You can water it down as much as you want, just because you are triggered by it doesn't mean it's not true. Doesn't mean that I'm not gonna say it. Everything here is because of God. Everything in here is because of the divine. My whole existence is Him. I don't exist, but He exists. This is the thing you go through in the path of self-knowledge until your I becomes He, and He becomes your I. So there is no difference here. And that comes with simply sitting down with yourself, simply seeking the sincerity of the path. So here is the thing, when we understand how to distinguish between these two paths, we understand that these two paths are a manifestation of something that is happening within us. The path of self-development is a cunning teacher. The path of self-knowledge is a wise master. A cunning teacher will teach you strategies, will teach you method, will teach you all about this life and how it works. It will treat it as a game that you need to understand certain tricks to, to make it work for you. But this is a trickster energy. This is a trickster vibration. This is these are the people that are teaching you how to manipulate things in order for you to get things. This is the people that feed that egoic self that clings into itself. Meanwhile, the path of self-knowledge is a very wise master that will teach you how to be a humble student. You don't need to get bullied by some dude or some person in social media thinking that you need to be in a certain way because they said what, oh, if you are like this, then you are hot and attractive and successful and alpha or whatever it is. If you are like this, you're not feminine, you're not cute, you're not seductive or whatever like nonsense they try to sell you. A wise master will always turn your gaze into divinity, into the mystery, into the unknown. In the presence of a wise master, and this is within you, the wise master is within you, the guru is within you, the imam, the sheikh is within you. That master, the presence of a master, will always make you feel so relaxed and so calm. And it's like, I'm ready to surrender. Just take me. Meanwhile, the cunning teacher is bullying you. The cunning teacher is a bully that is constantly categorizing people, constantly dividing this and that. This is attractive, this is not attractive. It's always that mental perception that is completely distorted, that see things through the eye of the ego. Meanwhile, the wise master is always showing you things through the eye of the innocent child, in complete purity, curiosity, and just simplicity. That is the difference between the teaching of the cunning master or the cunning teacher and the wise master. A teacher is not a master. A teacher is simply one who teaches you things that will get you through into this life. A master, a master is something like, is an embodiment of divinity, because ultimately God is the master of everything. God is like the perfection that orchestrates everything, that is, the maestro of this melody. He is the master. And once we see that master within us, that wise, knowledgeable master within us, we see him. So if you are someone who's sensitive, someone that understands there is still something not quite right with all these people that trying to yell at you so aggressively, so rigidly, it's like so dense, something not quite right with that. Know that you are actually being called into the path of self-knowledge, into knowing yourself, because knowing yourself will always, 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 always lead you to God. God, God, God. Allah, Allah, Allah. La ilaha illahu. As much as people get triggered and discomfort and just like something within them is just like being just annoyed and irritated about the idea of God, or the mention of the name of God, or the talk of Allah, let it trigger them. It's a wave, you know, that can cleanse these people out of these energies and these vibration that wants to pull you down. But you are meant to ascend. So here comes the end of this video. Alhamdulillah. I hope the message is being delivered in a way where you can truly understand it, and how it's very important to follow the path, the true path. Not that what satisfies your ego, not that what it feels, it validates you, not that what is appealing to you, but that what is completely truthful and honest and authentic. Al-Haq. Al-Haq, the embodiment of Al-Haq. That is what attracts the heart. That is what pulls the heart into it. Don't let your mind and ego get pulled by that cunning teacher. Let your heart be pulled and attracted by the truthful ones. If you are interested in, you know, spirituality and that kind of thing, you can subscribe to my channel. You can share things in this channel. I'd love to know more about your experience, and hopefully I can see you soon.